This statement pertains to Bob Dylan's stealing of James Damiano songs. I produced this video to provide the public with a level of insight into the perception of judicial and political confusion. On September 15, 1995, I, James Damiano, filed a copyright infringement lawsuit against Bob Dylan in the United States Federal District Court. Bob Dylan immediately applied to the court for a gag order designating all discovery materials produced during discovery as confidential, which was granted to him on March 14, 1996 by Magistrate Judge Joel B. Rosen. At the time, I was unsure what reason the court could possibly have for granting Bob Dylan a gag order. The court will sometimes grant a gag order to ensure a fair trial by preventing the public dissemination of information that could potentially influence jurors. This seemed fair and justified short term, or until the official date that the court set for discovery to end. I even considered the gag order to be justified if it were to last until the end of the case. However, the case never went to trial and was never heard by a jury. It was simply dismissed by Judge Simandl. I never expected the order to last for 29 years. The discovery materials included 48 hours of videotape depositions that were incriminating to Bob Dylan, blatant admissions of guilt by Bob Dylan's witnesses, 11 years of verified documents between James Damiano, CBS, Sony, and Dylan's producers, a music analysis from a Harvard-educated musicologist of James Damiano and Bob Dylan's Grammy-nominated song Dignity, and many other issues of facts, including the absence of a Bob Dylan affidavit of denial and also Bob Dylan's absence of a deposition. By assessing the key factors of this litigation, Bob Dylan's stealing of James Damiano songs, and connecting all the dots, it's conclusive and substantiated through the record of the court that in every major ruling of every major motion, the court was partial to Bob Dylan. In fact, the court went as far as to deny James Damiano a trial when Judge Simandl dismissed the case in summary judgment, as he disregarded 50 hours of depositions that revealed Bob Dylan's actual depth of James Damiano's songs. Perhaps the most incriminating factor regarding the court's partiality toward Bob Dylan is the documented and substantiated 29-year gag order against James Damiano. It is, however, plain and simple that Bob Dylan's gag order on James Damiano forms the basis of the court's partiality towards Bob Dylan. Now, after 29 years, I realize that one purpose for the court's gag order was to ensure that my movie, Bob Dylan's stealing of James Damiano's songs, would never be produced. Within the last 29 years, there were movie companies that were interested in producing my movie, Bob Dylan's stealing of James Damiano songs. One of them, a professional company, assessed that the movie would have netted approximately $214 million. My, James Damiano's share will be 20% of the net profit, $40 million after the movie was released, and a $3 million check up front. The movie company agreed to proceed with the production of the movie with the stipulation that the confidentiality order, the gag order, was lifted by the court. Although I, James Damiano, have continuously pleaded with the court over the years to lift the gag order, it still, to this day, June 11, 2025, remains in effect, despite it being 29 years after the case was dismissed. The order strives to avoid transparency. The order also attempts to diminish James Damiano's credibility to the public. Anyone searching the case would probably come across the fact that I, James Damiano, have been held in contempt 3 times for violating the gag order by posting deposition materials on the internet. These depositions were incriminating to Bob Dylan, yet the court held me in contempt, which is ludicrous and unlawful. So, to reiterate, by the court maintaining a gag order on James Damiano for 29 years in Bob Dylan's stealing of James Damiano's songs, Judge Joel B. Rosen of the Third Circuit Court has documented its bias against James Damiano. To say the least, Judge Rosen's indisputable partiality toward Bob Dylan is devastating to the integrity of the court.
Have you ever lied to Mr. Damiano?
Yes.
And can you list for me the times that you lied to him?
Many times, not many times, but on those occasions when he would ask me, could I pass on something to Mr. Dylan? I may have said to him, I'll try and pass it along, or words to that effect.
You state at the top of the page, or at least it appears to that you state, my job here is to pass along information to Bob. Do you recall saying that, sir? Looking
Yes.
at the top. Okay. And Bob, of course, is Bob Dylan.
Yes.
And then you say, which I think I have. Do you see that, sir?
Yes.
Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay. When you said...
In the course of these telephone conversations, he would frequently ask me to pass along information, ask questions about Bob, or to Bob about him. And I, in fact, told him that I would, and that I did.
Now...
I was promoted to Associate Director of Marketing Services.
Let's go back to the Jones Beach concert, if we may, to the time when you offered the tickets to Mr. Damiano before the concert actually took place. Okay? During that point in time when you offered the tickets to him and before he actually went to the concert, did you ever say to him or suggest to him that maybe he should bring some of his songs with him?
No, I did not.
Right. Do you deny saying that, or is it you just don't recall one way or the other?
I denied suggesting to Jim that he bring songs along with him. I did, however, concur with him when he asked me, do you think I should bring my songs with me? I said, sure, why not? What could it hurt?
Where did this interview take place between yourself and Mr. Dillon?
It was over dinner at a restaurant called Il Cielo here in Beverly Hills.
And do you recall when it took place?
August 5th, 1988, in the evening, sometime around 7, 8 o'clock, something like that.
Thank you. And was anyone else present at the table with you?
Yes, Elliot Mintz, who was at the time Bob Dylan's publicist. Said before it sounded like the tour had maybe kept him from writing as much as he had in the past.
James Damiano versus Sony Music Entertainment Incorporated and Bob Dylan. And the case number is 95-4795. We're here at the offices of Parcher and Hayes, located at 500 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York. And this is a deposition of Tony Tiller. This time counsel will identify themselves.
Stephen Kramer for the plaintiff.
Orange Snyder and Ruth Lott for Sony Music Entertainment, Inc., and Bob Dylan.
At this time, I have the court reporter swearing the witness.
Raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear in the testimony you are about to give that you will tell the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Tiller, good morning. You are employed by whom, sir?
Sony Music.
And how long have you been employed by Sony Music?
For 9 years on staff, 10 years if you count, approximately a year and 2 months as temp / per diem. I was promoted to Associate Director of Marketing Services.
Did you ever have in your office any compilations of any sort of Mr. Damiano's songs that you kept on your bookshelf?
When you say compilation, what?
A folder, binder, book,
Printed
tablet,
material.
Anything.
Printed material, yes.
Okay, and draw, if you would, so I can picture it, and the jury can picture it, a verbal picture of your office, and then after you do that, where the material rested.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, so the record's clear. Are we talking about, because you may have had more than one office over the course of the years, so you might want to...
Sure, if you had more than one office, take me through it.
Okay, when I first started as a temp, I moved from office to office to cover for people who were on vacation.
Okay, just to speed it up a touch, perhaps. If you would, Mr. Tiller, limit yourself to the offices in which these materials were ever located.
Okay, my first office, I had, the door would be, say, in that corner. Over here, I had 2 file cabinets, a table, a small table to my left attached to my desk, an art desk in that corner, a bookcase right next to that, and next to that a file cabinet.
Okay, thank you.
The book that Jim had given me would be on that bookcase.
To your right.
To my right.
Okay. And what year did you receive that book initially?
I don't recall.
Okay. And what did it have in it?
It had a bunch of songs, or a bunch of, I guess, well, he called them songs, so I called them songs, but they were words written in verse form.
Was it in a binder, a folder?
It was in a binder.
Like a 3-ring binder?
3-ring binder.
And where is that today?
I do not know.
When was the last time you saw it?
When we were in the CBS building at 52 West 52nd Street.
And you're telling us and the jury you don't know what happened to those materials of songs or words?
No, I do not.
Just disappeared?
Well, when we moved from that building approximately 4 or 5 years ago, as I explained to Jim, we were to pack our own desks. We were pressed to work until the day we moved, pretty much. And the movers came in and packed everything else. There were things that were left behind.
And so could you pinpoint, Mr. Tiller, what year Mr. Damiano's book of songs or words disappeared from your office?
You did not say disappeared. You're mischaracterizing his testimony. You did not say they disappeared.
So
Well, if you mischaracterize the testimony,
Oh, that's an exception to our stipulation? So that means during Mr. Mintz's deposition, every time you... Did Mr. Damiano's songs, Mr. Tiller, disappear?
Could I have you rephrase that?
Sure. What happened to his songs that had been on your shelf for how long?
1.5, possibly 2 years.
Okay. The songs, or that binder, without... That binder disappeared, did it not?
They were left in the building when we moved.
And did you ever go back to retrieve it or to ask where it was?
No, I did not. There were...
And is that building still owned by CBS?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And that's CBS's headquarters, yes?
Yeah.
And all we know now, and all the jury knows now, is that you don't have it, correct?
That is correct.
And Sony does not have it, to your knowledge.
Sony does not have it.
Right. And if we went to your office today, where your office used to be on 52nd Street, did that?
No, I did not.
And all we know now, and all the jury knows now, is that you don't have it, correct?
That is correct.
And Sony does not have it, to your knowledge.
Sony does not have it.
Right. And if we went to your office today, where your office used to be on 52nd Street, at CBS's headquarters, did you ever tell Mr. Damiano that his materials had been lost, or left behind, or disappeared?
Yes, I did.
And what did he say?
I can't recall exactly what he said. But I did tell him I was sorry.
Counsel, this is the second witness in a row, literally, who received materials from the plaintiff comprising one or more of his songs, where the materials have disappeared, whether you want to use the word disappeared, lost, destroyed, evaporated, whatever phrase you want to use. And I want the record to note that this is the second witness in a row. Mr. Mintz testified that he destroyed Mr. Damiano's faxed materials. And no, not only did he destroy them, he went further. He said he shredded them.
Mm-hmm.
And now Mr. Tiller is saying that the binder of materials of songs that Mr. Tiller received got lost, disappeared, don't exist. And
possibility of you giving him money to record a tape?